This video is a bit of an oddball. As you can see, I'm in Crocotopia. The first segment of this video will briefly go over how the spells I created could be obtained in the game, while the second half will show you in depth what they can do. Without further ado, let's begin. To understand why I'm in Crocotopia, you'll have to first know the theme of these cards. They look like your regular old shields, but with some variation in coloring. This is because they belong to a small group of cards which, for simplification reasons, we'll call the odd archetype. It occurred to me that odd is somewhat similar to opposite or negative, and because I made the PvP level requirement of these cards 20, I thought it'd best be in Crocotopia in the zigzag. Now you might be thinking that the zigzag is level locked to level 60 plus, and you would be right. Because of this, a more simple, easy solution would just be to have the school trees teach them. But if the devs got bored and wanted to go overboard, here's how I imagine it could be trained. Once you have both hit level 80 and beat Crocotopia, Alhazred will give you a little quest bubble, telling you to come to him. He will give you a small quest prompt, saying to return to him once you are ready to take a glimpse into the Upside Down. This is similar to how Baldur Goldpaws invites you to visit Grizzleheim before you can actually go there, but there will be a slight variation here. It will take you to a tiny secluded island in the zigzag with Alhazred there, and for whatever reason, he'll say that you can't go to the main area of the zigzag just yet. From there are two ways the devs could go about this. They could make Alhazred give you your odd card, or they could have it so you can train any of the odd cards by interacting with him in the zigzag tiny island. To go between the tiny zigzag island and the bound school, simply interact with him and choose the teleport option instead of picking the train cards option. Now that we've got that covered, let's go over all the odd cards from worst to best in terms of design. No surprise to those who are aware of me on Twitter, the worst one is the odd life shield. It's the first one I drew. But let me get this embarrassment out of your face and show you the slightly upgraded version I made. The odd life shield is a fusion of life shield and death trap, and it's level locked to 20 plus in PvP. It acts as a minus 95% life shield, while also acting as a plus 40% death trap on yourself. Unlike many support cards, all of the cards in the odd series have the same accuracy as a generic card of their school. The spell would likely behave how, say, Sun Shield behaves, where the icon shows one shield, but it actually places 3. I don't think Wiz has an existing system to allow a charm or ward to take on multiple effects. Moving on to my second least favorite, the odd Snow Shield. Fun fact, the Ice School is the only school to have a shield with a different name than the school name. This is the fourth spell of the odd archetype I made with an 80% accuracy. It acts as a 95% shield to ice and a 40% fire trap on yourself. This is a fusion of Snow Shield and Fire Trap. You may be seeing these spells and think, this is busted. And yeah, it probably is. I'll give my full thoughts on whether or not these spells would be feasible at the end of this video. Up next we have the odd Fire Shield, which has the most likes of all of the shields on my Twitter account. I actually prefer this design less than Snow Shield, but because it was so liked, and because Snow Shield was such a pain to draw, I placed it above it. This was the second spell of the odd archetype I made. The spell is a fusion of Fire Shield and Storm Trap, and with a 75% accuracy, it gives you a 95% shield to fire damage and a 40% Storm Trap on yourself. Fun fact number 2, all of the elemental shields show the whole shield in the picture, while all of the spiritual shields are enlarged. Take for example my third favorite spell from the odd archetype, the odd Myth Shield. This spell is a fusion of Myth Shield and Life Trap, and with an accuracy of 80%, it gives you a 95% Myth Shield and a 40% Life Trap. This was the last spell of the odd archetype I made, excluding the odd life shield rework. The color change of the symbol of the school doesn't really have any relevance and was arbitrary. It just so happened that purple was one of the colors I had not used yet. Coming in at second place, we have the odd Storm Shield. It's a fusion of Storm Shield and Ice Trap with an accuracy of 70%. It gives a 95% Storm Shield and a 40% Ice Trap to yourself. You can easily tell that this doesn't share the same style as the last few spells I made. The Myth Shield, the reworked Life Shield, and the upcoming Death Shield. If it did have the same style, I would probably rank it number 1 and the Death Shield number 2. Speaking of the Death Shield, here it is. The odd Death Shield is a fusion of Myth Trap and Death Shield. With an accuracy of 85%, it puts on a 95% Death Shield and a 40% Myth Trap on yourself. Now that it's all said and done, the big question now is this possible? Unfortunately, the answer to that is maybe. There are a few big issues, the biggest one being that a charm or ward cannot have multiple effects. This makes using these shields as a support for a teammate a no-brainer and a choice you would make over a regular shield any day. If that issue was addressed, And the shields could have both effects in that single ward, so even if you put it on a teammate, they would still be at risk because they have the trap effect on them. The next point to address is the really high 95% value. And this was the value I thought would be most fair, but it could easily be reduced to 90%. With the state of clears and whatnot, I don't think it would be too problematic, but for early PvP, this would be a mess. Take for example, if you knew your opponent was fire, you would pack a bunch of odd fire shields, and your opponent, knowing that you have a bunch of odd fire shields, would pack storm spells. This doesn't exactly force a fire wizard to pick their secondary school as storm, but it certainly gives them a strong incentive. Of course, knowing this, you could also pack an odd storm shield, and you can see where this is going. However, the counter argument can be brought up. In early game, your deck space is more limited in late game, and in late game you should have access to a bunch of spells that can clear shields. The limited deck space in early game is important because in order to cast a single shield, you'll need to use up 2 card slots. If you want to invest in multiple of them, you'd have to use even more. This can also get really expensive when it comes to training points, as not only would you have to spend training points in order to learn the spells of the other school, but you'd have to spend training points in order to learn the odd fusion formulas as well. You're basically giving up a lot of offense in order to defend yourself better, a strat that schools like Death, Ice, and Life may use. This works well because Death doesn't really have shield removing capabilities, and Ice has it to a limited extent. Life is an oddball. Fusions have opened up a whole new realm of possibilities, like fusing utilities to create interesting new utilities, and something that I haven't seen anyone mention at all, fusing a card with itself. The odd archetype could be added, and all of them would likely be meta shifters. Still, they most definitely won't be added because I have 0 reach. Until next time, see ya.